All right, this is going to be a vlog video, I guess. A little bit of a rant, maybe too, I suppose. So I wanted to talk about guys asking questions and getting answers on, I guess, even some of the forums, Facebook, maybe not so much Instagram because that's not really much good for that. But I want you guys to, and share this video. That'd be awesome if you guys share this video, and also subscribe if you're not subscribed, please. I see, I'm not, a lot of guys that have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge in this stuff don't comment on forums and don't comment on Facebook. And don't get me wrong, I honestly don't a lot myself. And I'm by far not the most knowledgeable person in the industry. There's so many guys that know so much more. And I'm very fortunate to be able to know a few of these guys, and they're awesome with me. But I'm, kind of to the point where I do know a lot more than the average guy does. So that helps me a lot, I think. But you get a lot of people are asking questions on Facebook or there again on the forums, whether it be Cummins Forum or CompD or any of those forums. There's a bunch, hundreds of them probably, but I think I'm a member of at least a dozen different ones. And I go on there and, so go around, look at pictures, see what guys are doing, that type of stuff. And I don't comment a lot because, and there again, the guys that do know, guys that are very knowledgeable in turbochargers and very knowledgeable in injectors and that type of stuff, they don't comment on a lot of stuff because when they do comment on it, people just bark at them, I guess you would say. Oh, what do you know? You don't know this, you don't know that. You don't know, my friend's uncle's neighbor's next door neighbor had one once. You get that type of stuff. So if you guys are posting questions and that type of stuff on Facebook, can you guys please be careful on who you're taking advice from? Because I see a lot of misinformation. And that's part of the reason I started the YouTube channel. Is there's a lot of misinformation, and you get guys saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that, use these, do this. One I will give, a most expensive is not always the best. The cheapest is not usually the best. There's a lot of companies, I'm not going to name any of them. There's a lot of companies that use crap product to build crap product. Or there's some companies that use some good products and then have some crap products. And, if you can buy a set of, let's say, for instance, a set of injectors, set of 12 valve injectors. You can buy a set of 12 valve injectors, let's say 5x12s, let's say. So 5x12s from said company for $350. And that same set of 5x12s, I shouldn't say same set, but a set of 512s from another company are $550. Now, I'm talking US dollars here. Just for the Canadian, I'm Canadian, so for the Canadian crowd, for the Canadian crowd, but for them, a lot of my subscribers, a lot of people that are watching are from the US, so I always do everything in US dollars. But if you can find something, let's say, there again, with a $200 spread in between the two, I want you guys to think about it before you're buying. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to be able to save some money. But when you're buying a product from a company and it's $200 cheaper from another company, or $200 more from another company, I want you to think about the quality of the product. Because you're talking a couple $100. And don't get me wrong, some guys are just out to rip guys off. Don't get me wrong. But please think about the quality of the product. Because now, I've been in this game for years, so I understand the game quite well. But, you can buy a set of injector nozzles to rebuild a set of 12 valve injectors, which come in a Bosch container, but they're Chinese made. And you can buy them for like $10. So those injector nozzles don't last. Do they work? Oh yeah, they work for a while. but they don't last. They don't have the hardening that's built in, that's supposed to be in them, and they're not nitrated, and there's all kinds of things in there, and orifice holes aren't great orifice holes. And now you get into a Bosch nozzle, like an actual Bosch made nozzle. That same nozzle might be $50, $60, $70, depending on the nozzle, right? Now, that's just the nozzle. So then you get into the injector and you're changing, lots of times when you're rebuilding them, you're changing the spring, you're buying shims. The spring can be $10, $15, $20 that's in there, depending on the spring. Shims are a couple bucks each. And then you have to take into consideration the guy's time to clean to take the injector apart, clean the body, inspect the body, and then put it together, pop test it, or set it up. Sometimes you have to take it. Sometimes you're lucky, you put it together and you're good. And then other times you put it together you take it apart and put it together 5 times before you get it set, especially if you're trying to get tight tolerances. Sometimes when I'm doing it, you literally put it together 10 times before you get it. So take that into consideration when you're buying products from guys. And same with delivery valves. You can buy really cheap delivery valves. You can buy really cheap govern springs. You can buy really cheap AFC springs. Just be, if a set is $250 and you can buy a set for $30, okay, I'm not saying buy the $200 set, but the $30 set and let's say the $90 set or $65 set, pretty good chance they're not the same. They're not going to be made of the same quality. A spring is not a spring. A spring made by a quality company is a better material. They have better settings. I've actually had to screw around with that lots of times. But, I just want guys to make sure that you're getting, spend your money on good product. Don't buy eBay turbos for your diesel. Hey, you want to put an eBay turbo on a gasser and make 5-6 pounds of boost with it? Cool. They do that. But you get into diesel stuff and you get a Chinese turbo, and that Chinese turbo's making 50 pounds of boost, 40 pounds of boost. They scatter lots of times. And now the turbo's blowing up, and if you're in compounds, you now probably need 2 turbos. You've just filled your intercooler with shrapnel. So at the very least, you need to have it flushed or replaced. And if you're real unlucky, then a bunch of crap went into your motor or into your engine. I don't like saying motor. But anyways, I don't know I guess that's just, I wanted to talk to you guys about that. So just like when you're getting information, please, please, please make sure that you at least cross-reference the information before you take it, from somebody that doesn't do it, maybe, hasn't done it many times, and don't get me wrong, there's lots of guys that have the knowledge, maybe have only done it a couple times because they've done the research. But I get questions all the time. Oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I do my best, and sometimes it takes me a while to get back, so then they'll post a question somewhere, and then I see it posted. And if you're talking to people in the industry that have been doing it for a long time, they'll tell you how they do it, which is usually, a pretty good idea to listen to these guys, like myself. I actually, a guy that on Facebook, and he's also one of our subscribers, Josh, was asking a question about whether he should retorque his head. And I went through the comment list, and it's like there were so many guys. No, you don't need to do it. You don't need to that. You don't need to this. Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. And for me, I don't know, pisses me off is the right word, but when you get all these guys that are saying, yes, you have to, no, you don't have to. And in that instance, yes, you 100%, you have studs. I don't care what head gasket you're using. I don't care if you're using ARP studs, knockoff studs. Unless you're using a torque to yield bolt, you should be retorquing that at least a couple times. Now there again, whether it be a hot retorque or a cold, I personally do them warm, personal preference, do it however you like. But I just like to be able to give good information, because in that instance, if you don't retorque, I would say there is a very good chance, especially if you're hot rodding the truck, you'll blow a head gasket. And lots of guys have. You know, you're talking 6.7 stuff, 5.9. You should be retorquing that thing at least a couple times. If the shop that's doing it says, no, you don't need to retorque it, ask them, have you retorqued it? And then there again, lots of companies, what they do, and I do this as well, is I go a little bit higher than the recommended torque to help. So when it settles, it'll still be. But when we do them, we torque it, and then the engine will sit, usually overnight. We check the torque again, and then we'll run it. We do a hot retorque or a warm retorque. And then I recommend for them to be done again. Because if you don't, you can't have problems. If you check it and everything's perfect, right on, you're good to go. But just please be, you know, get information. Like if you want to get some help, that's cool. You know, if you want some product information, you know, you post a question, perfect. But talk to some people, firsthand knowledge. It's not what you know, it's who you know when it really comes down to it. So if you know some guys that's what they do for a living, maybe hit them up, send them a message and say, hey, you know, or somebody you follow on Instagram, somebody you follow on Facebook, somebody you follow on YouTube, whether it be me or there's a fleet of guys. Ask 2 or 3 of those guys, send them a message, you know, throw a comment in there and see what they have to say. Guys that have firsthand knowledge in what you are working on with the products that you're working with, and you'll be much better off. So anyways, like, subscribe. I appreciate you, the guys liking, subscribing, comments. It's awesome. And we'll catch you on the next one.